Okay, I started. Okay, so little. I'm calling you Jordan, but you're
Little Lord Sissy. Yeah.
Little Lord Sissy.
Yeah.
That's when I saw a
It's a
dominate.
movie. It's a movie reference. It's a movie
Yeah,
reference.
my friend that
Shanghai.
went and saw a dominatrix in Montreal. That's what she called him. But whatever.
No, it's a movie reference from a movie called Shanghai Nights. Long story short, I watched the movie like moments before. Like back in the day, Xbox 360, you needed to like make a name in order to play. You can just like plug another controller in. It happened eventually where you could be like player two or like guest, but
Yeah.
it wasn't right away. And then I was like, oh, I'll just change it later. But then they charge you money for it, and I've just
Oh,
kept it
okay.
ever since.
No,
Yeah,
it's not a bad name. I'm joking. Sorry.
it's,
Um. So okay. So like,
not a great name, but
well, it's okay. Like you have the T-shirts or whatever that says "Sissy Gang," or
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's Sissy Squad, but yeah, yeah.
you should be like Mr. Butter or something. I don't know, because Jordan Butter.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, like,
Wow.
or
Trying to
Brian.
keep my last name and stuff out of there, right? For now, anyway.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so how does streaming work, and how does it, just for all the people on my channel, I don't really know how the old video game streaming works. How'd you start? How'd you?
How did I start? So it was also a long time ago. So like back in the day when Minecraft was like just becoming a thing, like I would say that like Minecraft took over YouTube. It basically took over the internet, and then it just like got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's kind of gone down. Anyways, it was around that time like everybody was started to make like video game sort of YouTube videos, and I didn't have the necessary like tech. Like I didn't have a capture card. I had an Xbox, and
Capture card?
yeah, so it's like this device. Thought they had one. It's this device that you plug into your Xbox into, and then it splits off in one into a computer, one into your TV or monitor, and the other one that goes to your computer like picks up the signal and then records it.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So I didn't have one of
Minecraft.
those.
I saw a clip today where it was like, he's like, "No, Grandpa, it's Minecraft," because Grandpa got a gift for a kid, and the kid opened it up, and it was Mein
Mein
Kampf.
Kampf. So dark.
He just didn't.
Oh,
He's like, I was
sorry.
confused why he wanted this. I don't know.
Gets him a
um,
Hitler book.
yeah.
Jesus.
So fuck, I've watched it a couple times, and I don't know. It ain't. It's weird because like, I like I like PewDiePie, but I never watched his video game stuff. Like it ain't my thing. But like people that are into it are into it, eh?
Yeah, and it's really hard to find that thing that not only are you good at, but you're good at having people watch you play it, right? So like you and I could play a game that's really fun for us, but anybody that comes by, it's boring for them to watch. So you have to almost think of it like what's fun for somebody else to watch while you're playing it.
Yeah.
And it's usually a lot of competitive stuff because like the audience members can sort of like take one side or the other side. Like Super Smash Brothers is a good example. 1v1 or fighting games. You sort of like latch onto one character or one person and then you sort of like root for them, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of like interesting because I don't know if you, a little political, but the convoy. What do you think of Israel and Palestine? Go. I'm just kidding. So when I was at the convoy, there was like, I was one of the guys on their website as an official streamer because I was one of the guys who were kind of there first. And there was Autowalks, and then there was like Viva Frey, another guy from Quebec, and we all had different styles. And it was funny because like some people just wanted to watch me because I was like trying to do more cinematic camera angles, and the Autowalks guy never showed his face. Me, I was like about 50-50, and I'd interview people and I'd walk around. There's another guy, him and his sister got in a lot of truckers' trucks, and there was Viva Frey, who the camera was constantly pointed on him, and then he would sometimes turn it and show the convoy. Me, I thought the convoy and like the sight of like just fucking 60 trucks like in a like over 6 blocks. It was actually more than 60 trucks, but just like how this little town and village popped up, and like I wanted to show that. And it was just like trying to find out what works. And some days I experimented with stuff, and some days I'm like, oh, I'm here at this time and this is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Some days I kind of over commentated, and then some days I didn't enough. And I liked it. I missed streaming in that way. Like I never got what streaming was, but that was my first experience with it, and I liked it. I liked. It was weird because I interacted with people more on my stream than people at the convoy. kind of thing. But
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And then when there was like DJ, there was like a couple times like on like a Wednesday, there'd be like 6 little EDM parties going. And like kind of watching that, that's when I got the most views, like because it was wild. It was like fucking Wednesday, and there's
Yeah.
like a rager going on at the Capitol.
Yeah, I mean that's so there's like a big difference between that as well, right? Because like what you capitalized on was like a serious event that most of North America and some of Europe heard
Oh, it
about,
was
right?
the
And so
world.
you were there, right? Yeah, you were there. And
It's
your
like
video
the
was like, look at all these people, right?
yeah, and it's like the thing like, oh, if you want to get big on YouTube or anything, you got to talk about trending topics. And it was like
Yeah.
that was literally the most trending thing in the world because the world was still closed down and nothing else like that ever happened. And like something else happened like it since in like the Netherlands, but kind of and they tried it in the States, it didn't work. And it's just like it was kind of unique. It was like the most watched thing. And so I think I have a lot of followers from that. And it's not even people that are so much super supporters of what happened, but it was just like they were watching because it was interesting kind of thing.
Right. Right.
Nothing like that has ever happened.
Right.
Actually, not to be a braggart, but I got to meet Trudeau and got like 3 minutes alone with him because he's asking me questions. And he's like, well, why did you go to the convoy? I was like, same reason why I came to this, because like, this shit don't happen every day, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, I just wanted to see it. Like, how often does the Capitol get locked up with trucks? That'll never happen again.
Yeah. At least in our lifetime. That's true. Yeah.
Let's talk, but like, yeah. So what I was trying to talk about me to get a better question than you about you. Sorry, but like, so has your style changed over time, or like has you? Fuck, I can't even talk today. Sorry. You know what I mean? Like, you've experimented. What works for you? You think like with the live stream, you got to like.
I think at the end of the day with live streaming itself, it's very much about realizing that even if you can't see the people, and even though there may be like 10 people, there's latency between 10 and 100. So like if you start your stream, whatever platform it's on, if you start your stream and it says like 10 people, and then the other 90 people that are like always watching your stream, if they come over and they're like, oh my God, and they click on the video like 2 minutes later, I think almost all of the live streaming services, including Facebook, but like Facebook is only with your friends, so it's kind of different, will like not tell you that there's that many people in there until like an ad break happens in just the platform. At least it's that way with Twitch, and I know YouTube and Twitch are like awful because it has such high bandwidth with so many people across the platform. But the most important thing is realizing that even if it doesn't seem like there's anybody there, people can come and go. It's almost like a revolving door.
Yeah.
And they can be watching you on their phone, and they can like minimize your stream and be texting, and it doesn't count as a view. So it's always having that idea that somebody, if you want to picture this in a different way, it's almost like you're sitting on a couch in front of like a big stage of people behind you. And the idea is like you're trying to entertain all those people. It doesn't really fucking matter what happens in the game. It doesn't really matter what happens to you. It's you're putting on a show and you're trying to entertain those people that are here and catch new people that are walking by going to the fridge. Does that sort of make sense?
No, that makes sense because a lot of people were cycling. And then when I was at I'm just talking about it because it's the only thing I can relate to. And like I did lives, I walked around Toronto and Montreal and Ottawa other times, but this is the most time I had the most viewers, is like people would come in and out like crazy. And the first night I was there, it was like YouTube was kicking people off of it. And the people were screenshotting and sending me the warning. They're like, oh, this YouTuber, because it's like I never really did live streams before. And then all of a sudden there was like 1,000 people watching because it was like a unique thing. And that YouTube's like, oh, this is so it could have been like a political thing where they didn't want people to see it, or it's like, yeah, they're like, like it's how did this guy get all these views? All because it was a weird thing. Like if you have like 10, like I think at the time I had like 1,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah.
So it was weird to them to all of a sudden have all this traffic because people pay for views, and they try and crack down on bots and stuff. So that like it's kind of like an automated thing. Be like, well, what the hell's going on? Kind of thing.
Why is this so popular?
Yeah, and then it's like, but then obviously I told people I was like, you got to subscribe because once I got to like a certain number of subscribers, that warning went away. But yeah, like it was a lot of like I would start with 4, and then but the people that were like very active and watching it every day. But what I didn't like is some people stole my stream and put it on theirs. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like I didn't really mind, but it's like I wish they would have at least given me credit.
Right.
I guess
Right.
it was just cool to be like on the ground, and like I've always kind of wanted to be a reporter, so I'm like was showing something that the news at the time wasn't showing, and so I didn't care. It's like if you write a book that like helps people and someone steals that book and hands it out, it's like, oh well, I guess that's cool, but I wouldn't mind a little credit or you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you asking are you asking like the feeling, that feeling of like getting your video stolen or like the stream
Not
stolen?
really. I
Like
was
how
just
did that?
talking about myself. And you're just here to listen. No. Uh, John, just sit there and be quiet. Like, come on, it's my turn. So, um, no, sorry, I was just trying to relate. I'm talking about myself to try and relate. I
Totally.
guess
Yeah.
I get the. No, it was so interesting. Like, okay, and then all of a sudden I'd be like around 50 people for like an hour, and then it goes up to like 200, and it was only a couple. I think the most I had watching me at one point was like 8,000, and that was for an hour, and that's because I was at like a crazy wicked DJ show, and there's people on top of trucks and like cheerleaders and like just like crazy ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
And like you have moderators, and it was weird to me like
Right.
these people that wanted to be my moderator, and it's like I couldn't pay them. Like I was, and all the money I got like just went back to like my gas because I was sleeping in my car, and I
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
always thanked them. And I liked the interacting with I don't want to say fans, but yeah, the fans of what was going on, and like the same people would come back, and I had a lot of people that like I feel like I built a connection. It's like we became friends through a medium, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like do you have that? I guess.
Oh, totally. I mean, that's something. It's interesting that you say that all these people all of a sudden wanted to be your moderator, because it's like they probably saw a lot of negative stuff in a community that was like being built. Like if you imagine like a group of 10 people, and then you invite the new guy and he's a jerk, everybody's going to kick him out because he's a jerk, right?
Yeah.
But if a new guy comes along and he's sort of quiet, but he's like going with everyone and he's sort of a follower, if you will, and then he doesn't really say anything too bad, he's just going to blend in until he really says something bad.
Yeah.
And it is important, I guess, to like have those people that you have more of a friendship level with, I would say. And then there's other.
It's video games, and you want to keep it light. It's not like some open platform discussion. It's like, okay, we're having.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
if we're having like boys' night, and then someone's coming over needing to argue with everyone. It's like, as much as I like debate, it's like, hey, dude, like we're not this ain't
We're not
like,
here for that. Yeah.
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 You know? Sorry.
And like another thing actually to go along with that is like you are the host of your, call it, show, or your like
Yeah.
your video. So like the fact, and like some people, because they're younger, immature, whatever, will try to steal the spotlight, and it's like that's something that you have to keep those people at a distance, but they can still be fans of yours. It's a really weird, like, I think the term is parasocial relationship, because they're not quite your friend, but they're not unfriendly, and you wouldn't not stick up for them, but you can't be there for them as a true friend. It's a really weird sort of, and it's new because it's the internet. It's new, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, people would be friends with names of like Mr. Quack 207, and it's like they would still chill on forums talking about like the best computer parts and stuff, or hardware for hours and days and months, and they would be friends, but they've never seen each other.
Yeah, it was weird when I was there. It's like I could be like, "Hey guys, where's this YouTuber? Where's he?" And then like through the chat, and like someone would jump over to someone else's stream, and be like, "Oh, he's over here." So it felt like a weird interconnected community that was there but not there. It's like real but not real, and like I still don't understand. And like I got so many donations during the convoy because people, it's like the more people you have in the chat, the more likely people are going to donate because they want their thing to go up.
Yeah. And they want to be the most important.
Yeah. When I was walking around Montreal and like doing like, I would do like go to events, or I'd go skating, or like just all these random places in Toronto and Montreal. I only ever got like so many donations after the convoy.
Yeah.
So and like honestly, like doing that for a month and like kind of generating, that was the first time I ever saw myself generating income on YouTube, to be honest. So I was like, holy shit, this could be a thing one day. Like I
Yeah.
was, and I watched you build your platform over time. Like I saw you when you had like two dudes, and then I like, we when I moved away, we didn't keep in touch. But then I creeped you one day. I was like, oh, 10,000, that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean it's one of those things that when like newer streamers, newer people that are getting into the whole like YouTube I've just videos in general is like it's I think a lot of people have like very superficial sort of immediate satisfaction goals with it, right? And like somebody like you, somebody like me is like we're in it for the long run, more or less.
Yeah, I was
It
just
sucks for
excited
a
to be
while.
there because,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
honest, I was in like Quebec for 3 years, and I was dealing with always kind of being like just not understanding what a lot of people were saying because my French still isn't great. Like if I talk one on one with someone, I could barely do it. But in group settings, like when people are talking fast, I just like I was always not understanding what was going on. So it was like a break for my brain just being back in English world after being in Quebec for 3. So I was so happy to be there, so happy to get out. And I was tired of all the mandates. So it was kind of like yeah, like this, and it was very homely, that event. Like people,
Mhm.
I know what the news said about it, and I don't want to talk politics, but like there was even like more recently, more left wing leaning organizations, like reporters are coming out and admitting that like, yeah, no, it was very homely, like lots of hugs, lots of love, and like there's so many times like it was like people of all color holding hands singing "Kumbaya." And then
Wow.
the news was saying it was like a white supremacist event. It's like, how can you be this like far off?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
And be so against it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh no, there was absolute batshit insane people there. Like I will admit that. Like, because there's some people that are like, oh no, everyone there was great. It's like, no, there was like totally insane people there. There was and I went to like there was like the convoy number 2, and it was like the
Okay.
anniversary. And guess where they did it? In Winnipeg, because Winnipeg's the meeting point. And I was like, oh, like it's like it followed me. And I was there, and like I thought I was decently well known. Like I was on the goddamn convoy site as like a registered like official streamer. And then this one chick in a crowd, it's like that bitch at a party that needs to cause problems. She's like, I don't like that guy's vibe. And then so I'm like in a corner, there's like 10 dudes. And these are people who are like pro freedom and pro free speech. And they're like, turn your camera off, turn it off. I'm like, nope, this is a safety
I'm
thing.
allowed to, yeah. And it's a
Well, it was
safety thing.
private
Yeah.
property, so I will say that. I was like, you can kick me off, but I'm not stopping until I'm there. But I'm like, you guys are hypocrites. You guys talk about love. You guys talk about being friendly. And I said, I was in Ottawa for 3 weeks and it was nothing but love. This is the first day I'm here. And like, they were accusing me of being Antifa. And like, they were getting, and one guy from the thing, and he didn't know me, was like, leave this guy alone. Like, he's just here to check it out. Like, he's just a YouTuber. Like, and then
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
like kind of like detained me a little bit, which is like kind of illegal. Like, you're not a cop. You can't do that. The stream's still up. And it was partially me being like, I'm not, like I said, like, uh, it was kind of like they kind of hustled me over to a corner, and there was like a couple people just being straight ignorant, just coming up and slapping my gimbal and being like, and like when I don't know if you've ever seen my stream, but when I'm talking to someone, I don't stick my camera in their face. I just kind of put it down to make it more natural.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They were criticizing me on that, and then it's like they went through my channel and saw like my content, and I'm not a dude like in Antifa or anything, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
And it was
just
like the paranoia of like, so that made me realize like a lot of people in those sorts of movements are like beyond paranoid, and like they were
right.
looking for a problem. And I'm like, I've like, I don't want to say veteran, but it's like I've been around this, and I like kind of covered this movement, the big one in Ottawa, like the main one, and I got nothing but love. Yet I come here and you
It's
guys
just
bullying me. Like, what the hell's? I
yeah,
don't like that word, but you know what I mean. It's like,
yeah.
but what was like, those lame guys in high school that like, it's like when you were in grade 9 and they were in grade 12, and then all of a sudden you're in grade 12. Those guys are still coming back and hanging out at the high school with their Letterman jackets.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
like
like
it was
yeah.
that vibe. It was like the leftovers and the people, like, because there wasn't a point to that other than like, let's keep it going. Because high school,
Right. Right, right,
and
right. Like
like,
the big convoy was over and these guys just
Yeah, the
wanted
point of
more
it was,
chaos.
yeah, and a bunch of people apologized. They're like, dude, we're so, but it all happened because one chick was like, that guy over there. And then they all of a sudden, and it's weird because her name's Tamara, but it wasn't like the Tamara Lynch that started the movement. It's like she has the same name as like the chick that started I don't know. Just it was just like, and it's like it was like that girl from high school. It just needed to cause problems, and it's like, but this lady was 40, and it was like, yeah, this is weird. This is weird. I got that. She's like, I don't like your vibe, and I'm like, maybe I didn't stick enough crystals up my ass that day. I don't know. Sorry.
It got a gross image in my head there. It's just like
so what games do you play? Like it's fun. I miss the days of you and me playing Battlefield 1.
man, like Battlefield's gone to shit, dude. Like Battlefield would be honestly like such a fun game if the Battlefield would be better. Like the newest one, right?
That
like,
one, I remember we played it and it's like, oh, we got like every time we spawned, we'd die in like 3 seconds.
You'd die and then like you'd fall through the map or like bullshit would just happen. I just, as you grow as well, right? Like it's weird because in a way of somebody who wants to do maybe more like live action stuff like yourself, it's like as you basically start off alone, right? Like you're just doing your thing. You have to practice, you have to fail, you have to like continue. As you grow, calm regulars start showing up more and that you want to include them because it's a way of like thanking them. Like, hey, like in a vlogging sense, like, hey, like you gave me $10. I'm gonna go to this cafe. I'm gonna go get a latte because you gave me that $10 to get it. And it's a way of saying like, thank you. It's a weird social, like, thank you. In the same way with video game streamers, like you want to play games that you can include a lot more people. So I play a lot of like team-based competitive games. Battlefield would be like amazing because you could have like 60 people in the game, you know? Your whole chat would be in the fucking game and you'd be like wiping the map out, you know?
I like Battlefront 2, like, well, the old Battlefront 2 and then
yeah.
Oh no, I remember like you could like max out your characters and I was never good with the Emperor, but yeah, no, I remember I was like the heavy and I had all the right combinations. I like it when you win at games like that where I had I got points for every hit I took and then it was a multiplier and then this and that and then I had a shield.
It's stacks and it's fun and it's entertaining and yeah, it comes together.
Totally. I think there was like 2 years where it was like I barely saw people, but it was like you were one of these friends and it was like my cousin and most of we would just be in the group. I miss the group chat. It's been a long time since I've been in an Xbox group chat and it was like chilling with the homies, but you were at home. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and like what I didn't like about it was like sometimes you were all in like 3 different games. So it's like, and like the game, I used to play Counter-Strike Source and I played Cal, like that's like the professional league, like in grade 8. And like being so like everyone all the time had like mics and we were so into it. And I missed that level of gameplay.
Yeah. And that's sort of like the game I play now is like Siege. It's sort of like CS:GO. CS2, whatever it is now. I think it's CS2 now.
It's CS Source, and then back in the day, no, Source was what I played like in early 2000s. Now it's Global Offensive. It could be another one since.
Yeah.
I find I'm much better at World War 1 and 2 games.
It's just a different vibe too. Like the guns aren't like lasers, and you're not like it feels slower but more tactical. I hear you on that.
I feel like I'm not patient. I was never a good sniper. Like I was always good with the tank or like some sort of assault class and
get in there and just blow everybody up. Yeah. Well,
like
that's why Battlefield's so fun. And I wish the new fucking Battlefield was like way better than it is because it's the biggest Battlefield, but it's the worst Battlefield. Like
with Battlefield 1, it's like you run across, you feel like hilarious and smart and you stuck across like enemy lines and then your buddies are spawning and then you like, it's like you felt like you accomplished something. And I remember like me and you, like, I don't know if you played after, but me and you rage quit because like, fuck, we keep fucking dying in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm that shitty. Like I've had times in my life where it's like, I'm like, when I in grade 8, like when I was playing Counter-Strike, I'd be like 80-1, like 80 kills, 1 death. So it's like, I fluctuate how good I am at video games, but I ain't shit. So,
well, it's going back to streaming for a sec here as well. Like that's something that's really challenging with video games in general, because if you consider like a game that you just keep dying over and over again, minus like a hardcore game like Dark Souls where like dying is a part of the game, if you're like playing a competitive game or like a fun game and you just die, it becomes boring for your audience, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes this thing where like you almost have to cherry pick the things that you play, and the things that you end up playing might not even be the thing that you want to do. I personally could literally play Halo, the campaign over and over again, and I would just
Which
vibe. I would
one?
just have fun. Any of them really.
Okay,
You
because
know?
I had such nostalgia. Okay, because there was a thing where the last one they made it for people like our age, because the younger generation is more likely to be into like Fortnite and stuff, and while we're more into team deathmatch, and it's just like our style and our era. Because and then they got rid of Okay, so it's like in Call of Duty 4, it was the start of like I like the games like Battlefield 1 and Team Fortress where there's like a class and then they
Mm-hmm.
can only have this game gun or type of gun and you can exchange it out. But then there's like six classes and then so if you're in a unit, especially TF2 because all of the classes had a very strong point and a weak point,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they
yeah,
work together, right?
yeah,
And Halo was at a point from 1 to 3 was like that, and then the iterations in between, it's like I remember in Call of Duty 4, it got like when you joined, if you bought the game 3 months after everyone else, you couldn't even play it because everyone's like was so advanced and there were
yeah, yeah,
classes or anything, and you could just buy this gun. You could come, you could have like a gun that like shoots through six walls, and meanwhile, a guy's starting off with like a pistol all the time and has no
yeah, yeah,
chance.
yeah,
But
yeah.
then Halo went back to no, you can only have like one of three guns just to make it like
Yeah, so they had Halo Reach and Halo 4 sort of had the class system that Call of
Reach was the most
Duty
recent.
and sorry, what?
I'm talking like Reach was the most recent. No, Renegade or something.
No, no, no. Halo Infinite just came out like last year.
What came out in like 2022 and 2021?
That was Halo Infinite, yeah.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Yeah, my time system's all fucked up because of COVID still, but yeah.
yeah. Feels like that was
Um
like 10 years ago now.
yeah, it feels like 10 years and it's really hard to believe it's lasted almost 4 years. You know, it's really like yeah.
Well, and like I was away, I was here at the start of it, or that's when I started to move to Montreal, but we came back because it was really sketchy in Montreal during COVID. Um, but it's like
Was there like a lot of people like homeless and fighting for stuff or
it was just more, it was like more intense because of a higher population. And it was like at the very start, it was like you weren't really supposed to be more than a kilometer away from your house. Like there was more rules and there was more.
oh shit,
And
okay,
then
yeah.
they were the first place to bring in masks in July of 2020. That's when masks started there. Uh, I think no, I think Ontario had a curfew, but then two times Quebec had a curfew. And I'll tell you this about Montreal versus like Winnipeg. Winnipeg, it's more about your place and you have a bigger home. And like all my apartments in Winnipeg were just massive compared to the two apartments I had in Montreal. And when you live in a city like Montreal, New York, or Toronto, it ain't about your place because you're normally not home.
Yeah.
It's a city
Yeah.
that's meant to be, you're out most of the time.
Yeah.
While Winnipeg, I think people in the prairies and more Midwest North America did better because it's like everyone has big yards and stuff. And yeah, you didn't have that. Like no one, like I don't know. And then people, you're just in this little tiny box, like 500. I think my apartment was 500 square feet,
Yeah.
two people. And
I
it's funny.
couldn't even imagine New York, dude. Like how compact some of those apartments must be, like, or even Japan. Like,
Yeah,
what are those? It's basically like a tube,
yeah,
right? I don't know. I know there's like hotels in like the Netherlands or something where it's like a tube that you just sleep in because it's only meant to sleep in, and then
yeah,
there's like a group bathroom, and then like I
yeah.
couldn't even if you
So
had to spend 3 years in that, I would lose my mind. Like,
yeah. So it's funny because at the time I was complaining to my buddy. I was like, "Oh God, I can't take it." Like, and so like being stuck with your romantic partner like that isn't the worst. I'd rather be. I've never had a roommate. I've had one roommate for a month, and other than that, I've only had partners as roommates. So I think it's different. Like if me and you were roommates, it's like different.
right.
Then you're like you can't really walk around naked, or you could, but it's just
It'd
different
be
when
it'd
you're
get
with your
weird, yeah.
yeah, a
Yeah.
little weird with your. It's like your parents are over. I'm like naked in the living room eating soup. You're like, like Matt.
Hey.
We talked about.
Oh, sorry, grabs a towel. You know. Yeah.
um, and yeah, but I was complaining to my buddy about it, and he's like 30, and his girlfriend was like 31, and he lived in an 800 square foot apartment with his girlfriend, plus, uh, another couple, and they were like 19, 18, so like age gap. And he's like, I fucking
Huge.
he's
Yeah.
like, I fucking hate these kids, these fucking little shits. And he's just like, oh, that's sucks for you, man. And I was like, hey, I'll stop complaining about living with my girlfriend.
With my girlfriend. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 So that no, I don't know. It's just and you know what? It's funny because a lot of you, I guess we already talked about it, it's too late, but a lot of people avoid talking about it because that word COVID gets flagged, and then like probably get less views or whatever. Whatever.
Does it really?
Yeah, well, especially
I thought it was in the beginning. I thought that it was because
I
it
don't
was
know.
like false reports about it and shit like that. I thought it
Well,
was kind of like
okay,
over
so
now.
as this is gonna be posted on YouTube, like and like I got striked twice, and like I myself wasn't even saying anything or posting anything about medical or anything, but it's like I walked by a doctor who was like Trump's like fucking supporting staff, like so a doctor that had a few, and I some people believe
He,
that science is revolving and should be debated, and I guess during that time it was like, nope, this is the one narrative, fuck everything else. And this
yeah.
guy was talking about his ideas of what could help, what couldn't, and he was like in the background as I was walking around, and it got that audio got, you know how like if you were to post a video on YouTube with a song in it,
Yeah.
it gets automatically flagged because it can
Yeah.
sense the waves of the sound.
This is not your song. You need rights for it or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it got like as soon as I was done, it was like that, or like when you it was like because it's like they were looking for anything that had that speech in it, and it automatically, and anyone I talked to that walked near that stage, they're like, yeah, got flagged too.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and like it's just
Was that YouTube automated or was that like somebody watching the video?
it was,
going,
and then I appealed it, and then what got me in trouble was, and then on while you're live streaming on YouTube, you can hit a button that says save for later, and then it'll take like it's like Xbox Live, right? Where
Yeah,
it'll
yeah, yeah.
take like the last X amount of time, and I set it to 5 minutes, so it would take the last 5 minutes, and it would save it as an unlisted video.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
video
Sure.
I didn't even post, but after I got on the shit list, they went through and they found an even older video that I didn't even post. I just wanted to see it for later to use footage from it, but they took a part of that, and I appealed it, and I even got to talk to someone on the phone. I was like, hey, like this is bullshit because like I didn't post it. They said, yeah, but technically you did. It's unlisted, but you still posted it. It goes against like, well, technically. And
Technically.
I'm like, this is such bullshit, and I almost lost my whole channel. So I just like I was like, whatever.
Terms of service with live streaming in general and videos is really rough because like if it was across the board, if it was like TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Facebook, Instagram, like if they all had the same rules, no hate speech, no racial remarks, and like no nudity. If that was like, that's pretty, those are like the big ones that basically all of them follow by, but like TikTok
is like, oh, well, I can be like, Jordan.
It's so vague though, right?
Yeah.
Because if I say I don't like a specific thing, somebody could say that that's hate speech against that specific thing, even if my reason is justified.
Yeah.
And even
like,
if I want to open up
that,
a dialogue about it, right?
Yeah. I think guys that dye their hair blonde are fucking weird. Like that's not it.
This fucking guy.
You're lining me up here, Jordan. No, this is just
yeah. Yeah.
No, it's so fucking vague and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, how is this I wasn't promoting anything. It was like a background noise. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like I bet you if you're streaming on TikTok, that wouldn't have been flagged the same way either, because TikTok has like, but if you swear at all on TikTok, it gets flagged.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I mean, so I edit for a couple YouTubers and two of them have NDAs, but I edit for a bigger YouTube and he has 500,000 followers right now. And he posted a TikTok the other day of basically like 13-year-old kids just like absolutely fucking trashing chicks on Xbox Live. Like suck my dick and like, you know, blow me. I can't say that word on YouTube, but maybe you'll censor this, but it's like, he's like, I'm going to rape your pussy. Like it was like the worst. It was like the worst stuff. So I censored like the really, really bad stuff, right? I censored the really bad stuff and it took me a long time, but it kept having to be recensored. Like, so I censored everything because it kept getting flagged for harassment and bullying. And the idea is that it was like, don't do it this way. but TikTok was taking it from the creator as the creator was bullying the children. That
Yeah.
makes sense. And that was really difficult to get across, that it was like, don't do this the way they did it,
Well,
rather
it's
than we're making fun of these kids.
yeah. So it's kind of like I don't know. I've seen this clip. I can't find it. Yeah, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. But like, it's kind of like it was black guy was on a news channel. It was no, it was like the Young Turks, and he was saying to them, he's like, you shouldn't. And I'm always gonna say it because whatever. But they're like, you shouldn't say the N word. You should actually just say what they called them, because when you say this, it's like you're shielding what actually happened. If you say the N word, it's like no, you
Yeah.
should say that they called them what they called them and talk about it, and we shouldn't be afraid of words. And like what Joe Rogan says, and I agree with it so much, is the best thing to counteract hate speech is good speech. Like, and
Interesting. Okay.
if we don't, so it's a weird opinion of mine. A lot of people don't like it, but it's like, so those guys, those dickheads that were marching in Charlottesville, saying like the Jews won't replace us or whatever. And it's like, to me, it's very important that they get to do that, because then it shows you it's real.
Mm-hmm.
People can't say racism doesn't exist. And so you're now mentally, you're still, if you don't think that stuff exists and there's no topics of discussion and we're not allowed to talk anything, and like, you know, there's times me and you have disagreed, and like we're more mentally prepared for the argument if it comes up, and like you think about it, and like you can be intelligent enough to interact with it, and like you know that exists. So now you almost like think of things you could say to these people to convince them to not be like that, or to give your perspective. And
Right.
when things are not allowed to be said, it festers and it goes underground. So I think that's more dangerous than if it gets to be openly talked about, right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there's like, because, yeah, I think what you're sort of referring to is like pseudo echo chambers, right? Because then what you hear is the same sort of narrative of like, we're not allowed to say anything. We're not allowed to argue. We're not allowed to disagree. We're not allowed to talk about it. So
Yeah.
nothing new happens. But then the people that want to talk about it form little groups, and that's how hate
And then
groups, I would say, was.
they just oh yeah, you're just so smart and so great. And I know people, it's kind of like, hey, Ben Shapiro is a great example. Maybe not the best, but he can be very intelligent. But I notice he always debates like some fucking 18-year-old kid, so he just destroys them. And like
Yeah.
whenever someone older wants to debate, he's like, ah, no. And it's like there's
Yeah.
people that are sitting in like really woke classes in like university, and they basically just agree with each other over and over and over again. They say the most left-wing fucking possible thing they could. And if anyone says anything different, the person gets like shunned. So it's like there is no discussion.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
jump to you're hateful, you're racist, you're this, you're that. And I actually, like, when I was watching, I've always kind of thought Ben Shapiro was cool. But like even like Candace Owens, she said stuff about like Ben Shapiro is very like zoned in, and he can, and people are talking about Israel and Palestine, and he's acting as if that side has not done anything wrong ever, it seems like. And Candace gave an opinion. She's like, well, there's kind of proof that this and this happened. I'm not saying what they're doing is great. That's the weird thing about what's going on now, is because with Ukraine versus Russia, it was like Ukraine good, Russia bad.
Right.
And as much as our news is like Israel good, Palestine bad, there's lots of people, and they're bringing up valid points about how both sides are getting treated. And it depends the same event can happen. I've avoided talking about this with people, but it's just like, depends who I'm talking to. The same event can happen, and I'll talk to one person it's become a white versus brown conflict. I find, because I tend, like, I notice this is really far off in video games. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm listening.
And it's like, I just, but it's even dividing conservatives. And it's another, you know how we talk about, oh, there's powers that be that want to put people into boxes. I'm like, it's even dividing left-wing people amongst left-wing. And then some people are pro-Palestine on the left for this reason. Some people are pro-Israel on the left for this reason. And then conservatives over here, it's like some people are pro-Israel for this reason. Some people are pro-Palestine that are on the right. And it's just like, it's like another divide.
Yeah.
And it's like, my opinion of it is I'm not there. I don't believe the news. Like, look at what happened to the convoy. Like, ever since then, I was like, I don't believe anything the news says.
It's really like, I don't have enough information like just to like even form an opinion of like which side in that thing is like the good side. And I don't really think that there's a good side because they're both bombing the shit out of each other, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
both causing hate towards each other, right?
Yeah, and so like maybe it's that moment where Bill Burr is like, we're two guys here, maybe we shouldn't talk about this, So like but it's like I don't like how people have lost their jobs for voicing their opinion. And if
Yes.
someone says they don't like something that Palestine's doing, they hear, oh, you must hate brown people. And if someone says they don't like, oh, I don't like what Israel's doing, oh, you must hate Jewish people.
Yeah.
I think it's very immature that conversations go to that. And I
Go to
feel
racism right away.
my point is I felt Ben Shapiro wouldn't have been a guy to do that. But I
Right.
feel like that's what he's doing now. And he's jumping to that. And like one of his own people that work at his news station, Candace Owens, she said, like, I think it's a genocide against Palestine. And she's like, I'm not saying what that. And I was telling someone, it's like Hamas is a hardcore group. And it's like if someone were to go to prison and they were white, and because prison becomes a very racial thing, depends where you are in the world. It's like this white person would probably end up joining like the White Kingdom or something, even though they're not like that. But they're like, well,
Right.
I don't want the protection.
You would just sort of, yeah.
You're like, oh,
Mob
well,
mentality type thing. Yeah.
yeah. So, like, and it's like we're just two guys on the internet, and I'm a YouTuber, they're a YouTuber, and we don't know what the hell we're talking about. But I just find it weird that no one can talk about it.
Yeah.
Without emotion.
And without emotion, and you can't, well, I mean, I'm like living proof, right? Like I don't even have enough information to form really an opinion because you're not really supposed to talk about it. And if you say one, if you ask questions about one, even if you don't know what the hell is going on, if you ask questions about it, you get like shunned and put in that corner over there because you're pro that side and vice versa. Like,
but you just ask a question.
And that's really like, that's my,
both of us just get wiped off the internet, just
because it's like, hey, what the hell's going on over there, and it's like, oh yeah, these two guys were never seen again. What happened to these two?
No YouTube channel or live stream anymore. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's
but that's 1984 stuff. We're not allowed to talk about stuff. There's this narrative, and it's just like, and my favorite people, and you're one of them, is like we could have varying opinions, and like I've talked, like, there's a mutual friend of ours. I know her, and she's on the other side of the spectrum of me. But like, so I had a realization, like, of the political spectrum, and I was downtown Montreal, and I was a little out of it. I was kind of drunk, walking around, and there's this communist party, and they're like, "Hey, man, would you like to hear about communism?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Like, let's go, And I wasn't even like in a debating mood or anything. But it's like, I think a lot of people want the same shit because all my beliefs, it's like to protect the middle class, protect the worker. And I think that like lower taxes and this and this are the way to go about it. And there was this belief, and like we all wanted the same shit. Like we all wanted like super rich elite people who run the goddamn world to kind of ease off a bit, and like, and it's like a tricky thing to talk about minimum wage, but they're like, okay, well, and something I agreed with them on. I was like, a company like Amazon could probably pay $20 an hour, instead of like minimum wage, or raise the minimum. And it's like the gun debate down in the States. It's like people that are very pro-gun or very anti-gun, they both want what they think is safe. It's not because they're evil. The best thing I ever heard about pro-life versus pro-choice is like, see, the problem with some pro-choice people is they think pro-life people are evil and want to control women.
Okay.
Maybe there's like the odd dude that's like, yeah, women shouldn't be able to do stuff.
The
like
crazies.
Probably not. Like maybe there's but it's like, no, they just actually think it's killing a kid and they think it's wrong. Whether either of us agree with that, but that's their perspective.
Yeah.
And so you can talk and come to agreements and like learn from each other. Or you can shout at them that they're evil fucking monsters. But then pro-life people do that about pro-choice people, saying they're fucking monsters for killing kids. But it's like, no, like they don't, like, they don't see it as a life, or they see it as a right to terminate the life within their body, you know?
Or, I mean, the argument really is, and it comes up a lot, what about a sexual assault victim? Or what if the baby has become a tumor rather than an actual baby, and technically it's alive? Yeah. And I think that the pro-choice people just want the opportunity, if the need arises,
well, there's gross
get rid
people
of
on
it.
both sides. Like there's
Yeah,
that
totally,
down on the chick that's like, every woman should have an abortion. It's like, well, that's kind of gross to say, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's fucking. But then like there's the problem is it's like the more extreme of both. It's like a lot of people really agree with each other. The best thing I ever saw on the internet was like a Reddit post where it was like, right wing people, what's your most left wing view? Left wing people, what's your most right wing view? A lot of people really want the same shit.
Yeah, safety, health, and everybody to prosper.
Decent economy, really, and like decent amount of human rights, and like
and freedom.
Yeah,
I think that's why most people don't like communism in practice. Like communism, from what I understand, is very different on paper versus what happens, because
it gives the government a lot of control. So it's like, okay, so the biggest joke about Trump winning in 2016 was like, see, here's the problem about big government. Because, Obama spent all that time, those 8 years, making the government bigger, having more government power. And it's like, here's the problem about big government, is someone that you don't like can get elected. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it depends what kind of right wing, because there's like, there's old school Republicans like George Bush. I would say someone like Donald Trump is very different. And then like libertarians are more considered right wing, but a libertarian is like, they want like more old school conservatives don't believe in legalization and decriminalization of drugs, which is fucking hypocritical. The best thing I ever heard about this was Rand Paul. He said this at a Republican debate in 2016. He said, we are hypocrites because we want guns to be illegal, and we think guns shouldn't be illegal because of the odd bad person. Yet we think pot should be, like he said, this opinion that the left has on guns, the right has on pot. And he said, so therefore we're hypocrites and the left are hypocrites. They should actually just both be legal and and people should learn. I am of the belief it's like, if you teach kids that they, like when you grow up with them and you teach them like cooking with knives and stuff and teach them respect of the tools, they become very responsible. When you yell, I've seen parents that yell at their kids not to touch this, not to touch that. They end up touching it. They end up cutting themselves. They end up doing this. And if you teach kids that they're responsible, they'll believe they're responsible. And like, I believe that people like in households that grew up with guns, they can really respect those guns and like know what to do or not what to do with it. It's a weird debate. Like, I don't know. It's like in Texas, there's shootings, but like the best argument I've heard for pro-gun is like, well, Stalin and Hitler took away the guns and look how that turned out. And I guess America is a rebel state, right?
In a way.
We're going to talk about video games. How did we end up here?
I don't know. We talked about a lot of stuff. Jumped over to politics from your live stream, I think was the.
Yeah, sorry. That's why I didn't want to. And then I like was trying to relate, and then it's like, well, you see, this is why he was just trying to make America great again.
Make America great again.
But what I hated about that time period is like there was so many people that were, no matter what Trump did, it was right, and then there's people that, oh, no matter what he does, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, didn't you like just like pardon like a bunch of people for non-violent drug crimes and like, well, that's good, but that was dumb.
He's still terrible. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot.
He did it. It's like, oh, okay.
There's like a lot of stuff that I think that, and I mean, he talked to fucking Kim Jong-un in North Korea, bro. Yeah, like that was amazing to me.
I remember I was working in a film office at the time and people were making fun of that. And I was like, if fucking Obama or Bill Clinton did it, it's like, that's how people are to their side. Mm-hmm. If anyone, and it's like, but then there's also the hypocrisy of Republicans, because it's like, they just, something, a trick was like, if you want to know if it's equal, flip Obama and Trump in this scenario and see if the same side still supports it. Like anything that Trump did, if Obama did it, would Republicans have supported it? And the same, like if Obama walked into North Korea like that, he already got a fucking Nobel Peace Prize. Trump didn't start any new wars. Yeah. And so it's like, I was a fan of him, and I'm now a little bit more okay with openly admitting it. But like, so many people didn't even want to say they liked anything he did. Or I remember I was on a film set, and someone's like, "Well, I get why someone would vote for Trump," and like 3 people just like stop. It's like he like said the N-word or something on set. And, like,
yeah. Just
and it's like, Well, if you're a single mom in middle America and you want lower taxes and like a better economy for your state, yeah, you'd probably vote for the Republican guy who's threatening Ford and telling them to not leave not let their factories leave America.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems, yeah, like regardless of the person, it seems like his agenda was for a lot more people. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I always say is like some people get into a lot of politicians, they before and our current prime minister, Justin Trudeau, his net worth has gone up greatly since being in
Well, because I mean,
Trump's
knowledge
went down. And all these senators down in the states that are basically insider trading, but it's technically not. But they know what like weapons contractor or what company is going to get a big contract from the government because they're the ones voting on it. But then they go and buy that stock, and then that's insider trading basically. But it's
legal insider trading. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like, but Trump lost money running. Like his network went down. Like people forget. Like, remember how cool he was like in 2004?
You fired. Yeah, The Apprentice, and he was like walking around Trump Tower. He was schmoozing with everybody.
But it's funny.
Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, it's like if you objectively look at Trump without the presidency and like the allegations,
he was always popular.
He was always popular, and then B, it's a point of like a joke that he took a small loan of $1 million. I would bet almost anybody that $1 million that if anybody was to take $1 million and turn it into $1 billion, they couldn't do it. Yeah. Didn't matter what they did. Take $1 million, make it $1 billion. They'll give you 10 years. Bet you don't do it.
He had a start a bit privileged, but it's like, I don't know.
He turned it into way more than privilege. He turned it into Trump, the name, Yeah.
And like, I still get annoyed. I love to hear actual like points against him, and it's interesting because he's not perfect. And actually, Ben Shapiro was like his biggest out of it. Most people on the right wouldn't touch going against him because of how like things were back then in 2016. But
yeah,
Ben Shapiro was actually very openly against him in a lot of ways, and he commentated more like articulately. He wasn't like, "Oh, Trump's dumb, Orange Man bad," like a lot of late talk show hosts were like, "Orange Man bad." It's like, oh, haha.
And Hillary's better,
Yeah, and like I thought less of people because like people just like fall for shit, and I noticed that in the last couple of years, like, not to think I'm some genius or anything, I'm just an average dude, but it's like every time something comes, it's like there's that hashtag I support the current thing. People just jump on the bandwagon to support shit.
Yeah.
And I know people who are actors and their agent was like, you better post a black square.
Yeah, that was huge, actually. That was just social media in general. It was like, don't.
If people are just doing it because they're supposed to. So,
or they're forced to keep contracts.
Yeah, or to keep, like there's, and so
sponsors,
against that movement at all, but it's just like an example of.
Yeah, I mean, somebody posting it because they truly believe in it is so different than somebody posting it because if they don't, they're going to be ripped off the platform and cost money to the company that's either an agency for them or managing. It just seems, like you're totally right. It takes
I saw a meme like years ago, but it was like, do you really think you're part of the revolution if like big corporations and big banks and government are supporting what you do?
Yeah. You have, it doesn't really matter. Totally. Yeah.
The funniest thing about the convoy was like all the people, like when I was 18, I'd go to like the zoo and these like punk rock bands, and they're like, don't listen to the media, man. Don't trust big pharma, man. All cops are bastards, man. Don't watch TV. These were the people that just like, and like the convoy, if you think about it, what was that? Occupy Wall Street? How those people would like camp outside legislative buildings. So the convoy did what those people wanted to do, except it was like a bunch of blue collar guys that like built infrastructure with their trucks and like set up tents, and like they were building shacks like in like an hour, and it was like just people with a lot of hands-on skills and had the ability to do these things.
To do, and tools,
maybe these Occupy Wall Street people didn't have these. Maybe, just guessing. And so, but it's like, it was a socialist paradise, really. Like they were handing out food. Like all donations, it would just go to food. There's like 20 food tents spread out in the 6 blocks, and they're just handing out food, free gas and diesel to all the trucks. And the weirdest thing was like them saying like, oh, They defaced Fox's statue. They put a Canadian flag around him as a cape.
That's not defacing Terry Fox at
it's not.
all.
But every protest ever, because this like it's like where the big intersection right in front of Parliament. Terry Fox is like right there.
Right.
Statue. And so like fucking every movement puts a flag. It's like whatever. It's like like be respectful and some they were like they stole from the homeless. So I was like, okay, maybe there's a video going around of like a guy taking a sandwich from a homeless guy, and that's still one guy. No, it wasn't that. The narrative was like the donations that went to the convoy could have went to the homeless.
Oh, so okay.
So it's like, Jordan, you bought that video game, that money could have went to the homeless, you piece of shit. It's like, well,
yeah, it's like it could. I wanted to buy the video game. I wanted to. Well, fuck that.
But then that's funny because the convoy like was handing out food to the homeless. Speaking of, I'm so sorry. I want to talk more about your streaming. But you should just be a regular guest on the show.
I should be a regular guest on the show.
Yeah,
it's easy to sit and listen to political stuff. I wish I knew more about like the political sphere that you know. I
feel like I don't know a lot. It's just like small observations, and no one's allowed to talk about shit anymore.
Well, that's why I've sort of like I stick away from it, because it's like I'm not really allowed to talk about it on stream. I'm not, because A, it divides people, and then B, also it causes fights, and then C, you're just like, you're not allowed to do that. It's sort of like wearing.
You okay with me posting this? Because I can just.
Yeah, totally. No, totally. But it's almost like wearing like a jersey, a sports jersey of the opposite team in a sports bar that's voting for one team, you know? Yeah. And then guy going like, oh, hey, where'd you get that? It's like, you're not supposed to talk to that guy. He's on the other team. It's like, well, why not? Like, maybe there's good players on that team. Maybe there's legitimacy to that team, you know?
I have a guest coming on, and you actually know her in real life. I'm really excited for this podcast. Unlike this one, this is just a filler. Whatever. I'm just kidding.
Thanks. Yeah.
Jordan, sorry. Everyone's gonna see how
piss it on my fire a little bit. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but because a lot of like more left-leaning people or right-leaning people too, I find it more. I see it more on the left, or maybe it's just a bias I have because I'm kind of center to the right. I guess I'd consider myself, but she works in like a clinic where they hand out free drugs basically, and you can test your drugs. So like a lot of conservatives fucking hate that idea, like the government giving drugs away for free. I personally, there's a lot of benefits to it, like meaning like, okay, well, people who are addicted to meth, they normally tend to not have a job. So when you don't have a job, how do you get money? You commit crime. And so the idea is started in Switzerland, I think was the first place. So like if we just give them the drugs,
maybe crime will go down.
And then it doesn't cost the cops money, doesn't like put stress on the cops. And when you go to this clean clinic, and this person, I know her, she's so positive. And I know a lot of people that work at these clinics are just positive fucking people. And you've had downtimes in your life. I've had downtimes in my life, but we're lucky. We've always had a home, right? And so some of these people are homeless. And then when you get to that point, you feel not a part of society, and then your life can spiral, and people just look at you like you're a bag of shit all day. And then you go somewhere where they're just nice to you. They're not pressuring you. They're not telling you to get off drugs. In Switzerland, they've been doing it for 7 years, and they like no person ends up going to the clinic for more than 2 years because they eventually get clean. Like they have pamphlets, hey, if you want to get clean, but just being in a positive environment. I will say, like, I had a lady who basically adopted me when I was 27, and it changed my life. And gave me certain things that no one has given to me, like love, appreciation, like in ways I've never gotten it. And it has changed my life and outlook on life. And I've become a way nicer, less negative person. And except when I hang out with you, my past comes out. I'm like, God damn it, your stupid purple hair or whatever. And I'm just like, sorry, I'm trying my best here. All this therapy and it's still coming out like Jekyll and Hyde here. And I got to work on overpowering in podcasts. I'm like that dude at the party. It's like, I'm not going to talk politics. And then 2 drunks in, I'm like, he's just trying to make America great.
He's just trying to, yeah.
You were saying about wanting to learn. I wish people could like I went to a meeting full of engineers in Montreal because my neighbors are engineers and they brought me to their Christmas party. And these dudes like and females just all talked about politics like with no emotion.
Interesting.
And it was
just like straight facts, like just
and I'm like, this is how it should be.
Yeah.
And I like so And the weird thing about politics is like I can very much understand why someone wouldn't like Andrew Tate, why someone wouldn't like Trump. It's very obvious to me. But like a guy like Jordan Peterson, I'm like, why is he under fire?
I don't know why Jordan Peterson is, because he doesn't do anything besides like literally explain backed up scientific facts
He's
about
like, I think
people.
boys should clean their room and take care of themselves. It's like, that's a misogynist. It's
yeah,
like,
it's like, oh, why? Like you're learning, and the things that he may say that are a little bit like, I don't want to say the word taboo, but the things that like not everybody talks about, he's like, well, it's based on science. It's like there's proof of it, and I could prove it.
A big thing is he's like, if someone wants me to call their pronouns, I probably would, to be polite. But he said, I don't think someone should go to jail for misgendering or refusing. And that was his big.
Which totally makes sense. If I accidentally call you a guy, hey guys, how we doing today?
Yeah.
Sorry. How is everybody in this group that may be male or female or doesn't identify as either, may identify as but like I can go on for another 10 minutes explaining that.
Yeah.
And it's like, should I go to jail because I said guys? Absolutely fucking not. But the law, from what I understand,
party yesterday, and I was part of a little act. Might have heard of it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I may have heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. We worked together. But someone just made a comment like, oh, you can't go out wearing a Santa mask.
Right.
I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's just because it's like, it's a Christmas party. And like, and I honestly, like, this is my belief. I think a lot of North American people that are born here are offended for other people. Like the whole appropriating culture. And it's like that comedian that goes around, he'll wear a kimono and go to Chinatown, and then all the Chinese people are like, oh, that's so nice, And then he goes to a university and like, you can't wear that, man. I don't think anyone that was not, first of all, I don't think Christmas it's not just a Christian thing. It's like just North American at this point. Many atheists and non-religious people it's just fucking because you live here and you live in the
Europe,
West.
Yeah. Europe celebrates it. Asia celebrates
like you live in the Western society or somewhere, and like a lot of places that are not even religious. It's not about like Santa doesn't really have a whole lot to do with Jesus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if I went out dressed as Jesus, like I'm not putting down other religions just because I'm putting this up, and it's just like, and it was like, well, in my head, I was like, well, pretend it's Moses or something. I don't know. But it's, I can guarantee anyone in that audience that was non-Christian wouldn't not
give a shit. Wouldn't give a shit.
The HR people like, well, we can't.
There's a lot of different religions and Jewish people. Like, I mean, I would make the argument that Adam Sandler fixed that in like the 90s. He was like, oh, hey, there's people that don't celebrate Christmas. We have something called Hanukkah, and it's way better than Christmas.
Yeah. What was that? Eight crazy. That was like early 2000s, but yeah.
8 Crazy Nights, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his Hanukkah song plays during Christmas and Hanukkah,
Yeah, and so that's what I like. It's like, this is a controversial thing, but I like Miles Morales. It's a new character, and it's like you're propping that up. Or it's like Hanukkah, a guy like you can push up Hanukkah, doesn't mean you have to pull other things down. Or it's like,
totally.
I get why, like, okay, like, back in the 80s or something, you're like the one Jewish kid in the town, and we had a Jewish kid in our class, and you know what? There wasn't like no fucking Christmas shit, none of this stuff, and like near the end, and it wasn't because of this family, but it was like they were like, oh, if you wouldn't mind to include something about Hanukkah, which we did.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
But it's like it's still a Christmas tree, fucking holiday tree. That doesn't make sense. There's no other, it's a Christmas. Call it what it is. But I remember that family was like, oh no, like if you could include something, that'd be cool. If not, whatever. Like it's still. Like it's like 98% of everyone else is celebrating Christmas, so
Kwanzaa and I mean, it's interesting too if you look at like the social sphere of all, call it religious, political beliefs. There's always a holiday that falls around that time.
Weird, right? I don't know what
that is. It's almost like there's a holiday like every couple months to keep us sort of sane. Something to celebrate, right?
And that's the funny thing about like all religions is I think their metaphors and their rules are very good. And my definition of morals is like how you live your life in a way to make your life better. And like, I honestly believe like if we all didn't have sex before marriage and just waited and had sex with one person, like I think our society has become so hedonistic.
Interesting.
Because like if you only had sex with one person, you don't know what good sex is. You don't envy and you don't think of the grass is greener over there. Or you don't miss your one ex who was like really good at sex but like slapped the fuck out of you too much. Like
And emotionally abused you, or
yeah,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, the
yeah.
sex is, and men are dumb. We're dumb that way. If a girl could be addicted to crack and if the sex is good, we're like, this is love. We're gonna make it work.
This is great. We have to make it work. Know a couple of those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
I
So
mean, it could be negative though too, right? Like women could have like an abusive dude that they've
yeah,
only
no,
had sex with him.
that's definitely a thing. I, but like, I don't know. Like, people ask what I would. I don't think I would say I'm agnostic. Like, I really like the metaphor of Jesus. I go to a church sometimes. I go to two different ones. I don't go all the time, but it's just like something about going into this room and people are super positive, and my neighbor's 7 Day Adventist, and like that's a more hardcore. I don't want to say hardcore.
Sect.
Yeah, they celebrate Christmas on Saturdays. Or no, fuck, no. Their Sabbath is on.
The Sabbath is on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, and like they don't. And like, okay, so and I admitted this to him later, years later, but like people in the community out here were like, oh yeah, like they turn everything off and they don't do this and they don't do that and they think the devil's gonna get them. And then yeah, like there's been times I've seen them out on Saturday and like people made it seem like they were hiding in their house. But no, they're farmers and they don't work on Saturday because that is family time. They're still on their cell phones with each other, but it's like, no, you play board games and this is what families do. And it's like, that actually is very healthy. And I think our generation was like the last and a lot of us, I barely had it. My family didn't always play, but we played it at Christmas. But like this family every single week sits and plays board games, talks about their week. And it's like, that's healthy. And
that's something I try to do when I'm in a relationship. A long time ago, I learned my ex-girlfriend, she said something like, we should make one day a week. Doesn't matter how busy we are. That's our day. If we have to do something, we do it together and vice versa. Right. And it was like, you are right. It is healthy. And I think we are missing a lot of that in today's world. That's why, for example, coming back full circle is like why streaming is so big is because I think that isolation of social peers and discussing things and talking about things is so powerful because you can connect with people on the internet the way that you don't get in your community. And then the problem really is that in a family group setting, sitting around a table playing Monopoly, you can learn a lot about rent, a lot about jobs, a lot about cars, and you can talk about anything over snacks and a game that doesn't really mean anything in a safe environment where you're allowed to ask questions.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the powers that be, because of sponsors and money, are making this idea of talking about stuff taboo and bad, so that even these social group settings that I would argue that people have made for themselves.
Taboo to talk about money.
We can't talk about anything.
Everyone is fucking so done with money. Everyone in our generation has loads of debt, yet our grandpa's generation didn't. A lot of them didn't believe in debt. Like even not for business, like, and then like it's like people are so, but money was so taboo to talk about. It's like, well, fucking people are stupid with money now.
Yeah,
buying shit we just don't need, and like it's because never talked about because it's taboo, and it's
using money that we don't have to buy shit we don't need. Yep.
Yeah, Will Smith quote or whatever.
George Carlin.
People. Sorry.
George Carlin. Okay. George Carlin said in the stand-up.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Well, calm down, Jordan. Jesus Christ.
No, just
fucking freaking out yet again. But like, seeing, I'm like, fuck. We mentioned some things, and like, I don't think I really even like we talked about the Middle East, and I didn't like have that much of an opinion, and I didn't say anything that strong. I'm like, it could be this or it could be that. I'm like afraid that this one, I'm pretty sure this is gonna get fucking demonetized and whatever. I don't care. But I'm like, oh, am I gonna get striked? Someone gonna show
because of
like, and it's just like fucking, and it's like I don't like how the era of YouTube where like, remember the Wild West of like 2014, 2015?
Just do anything. You just do
and there
anything.
was like full news channels, and then all of a sudden for advertiser reasons, you couldn't talk politics. So there's people like the Young Turks, they were like left leaning, and then the Rebel News were more right leaning. But it was like, it's like their whole thing. All of a sudden they had to go get a Patreon, And even
Yeah.
Patreon, Pat, at a certain point was like, oh no, we can't support you because of this.
Yeah.
And it's like the world I don't know, people, it was like this slow movement. I don't like how during COVID no one could talk about it. There was doctors on YouTube giving their opinion. It wasn't some random guy telling you to stick candles up your ass. It was like a guy talking about this or this, and I think this could help, and it could help ease symptoms. That guy would get striked and pulled off YouTube. And it's like YouTube is owned by this company, which in this company, and if you go all the way up, the same company also owns the pharmaceutical companies. So it's like there is an interest in, giving all the power to
somebody is buying the words that you're speaking. I thought about that sort of idea with like the radio. Like almost nobody listens to like music radio anymore. They either listen to like
every time I turn into FM, it's like, God damn it, like fucking, I can't believe these people went to school for this because there's random YouTubers that are funnier and more interesting than these.
Yeah, well,
all the radio hosts in Winnipeg steal their fucking jokes from the internet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's where I was getting to is like it's very much based on like the music isn't the product, right? Music on radio isn't the product. Like when you if you can objectively separate yourself from what you're doing, you're listening to music. You're not really listening to music. You're listening to ads. You're listening to an agenda that these hosts talk about, and the music splits it up, right? Because like the music needs to be paid for, the hosts need to be paid for. Why do we need hosts? Why can't we just have music playing? Well, you can, but you have to then pay for it.
Yeah.
Right. It was Sirius or, like whatever, XM radio. Right. And it's like, well, what the fuck is all this then? And even Sirius has ads for other Sirius products to get you to pay more money. Like it's
Netflix,
not really,
you pay for Netflix, the lowest tier, but there's still goddamn ads. And it's like the whole point of Netflix was there's no fucking ads.
The whole point in the beginning of Netflix was that you could rent any movie anywhere and get it. And now that there's exclusivities with Netflix, now there's exclusivities with Disney. And it's like, I get in a certain point where like Netflix wants to make Netflix original content and that should only be available on Netflix. But the problem that I guess I get is that Netflix doesn't have, depending on what state you're in the States, depends what country you're in, it's different, and it's like it's a copyright law and stuff. But and it literally used to have everything. That's
normally
the thing,
in the market or the free market, monopoly is bad, but it's like streaming was like the one thing where it's like, no, it's actually better for everyone if one company has it. And it was so cheap, and it was like, but now it's like there's competing, like all Disney stuff was on Netflix. And then South Park's like split between Paramount and someone else. Like they could make movies for one, when they could do shows. So it's like you have to have both if you want to watch all of South Park. And half the time the movies interlude with the episodes, and it's just like it's become complicated.
Yeah, it's the same with Family Guy too, right? It's like only like here in Canada anyway, it's like the first like it's like season 7 to like season 15 or whatever is available on Netflix, but they're all available on Paramount. And it's like, okay, well,
Family Guy's Disney now because it was Fox, right?
Or sorry, Disney, yeah, not Paramount, yeah. But
yeah,
the point being is like,
it's from 9 or something. Yeah, and then I think the first 7 are on Netflix, and then the other ones are on Disney.
Yeah, and it's like, well, why? Like, why? Because there was
stuff up.
Yeah,
Jamie.
Sorry, what your mic cut out? What did you say?
I wish we had a Jamie like Joe Rogan. Like, Jamie, come on.
Jamie, pull that shit up. Yeah, pull that shit up.
Remember that one meme where it was like, hey, Kanye.
Yeah, I heard you. And he's like smoking the bud. Jamie, pull that shit up. You know?
Yeah, pull up Kim's nudies.
Kim's ass. Yeah, sucking some dick. That's crazy, man.
It's, you know what I like about our friendship is like we'll remember shit from like 8 years ago that we said to each other
and just laugh. Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I feel like something weird happened to us in our childhood where we'll fuck, man, like that murder mystery last night. We went in the green room together. Like, fuck, I've never laughed in a while. And it's like,
how
no
hard
one
we
else
were
thought
laughing.
our jokes. It was just me and you. We're just like, I could barely stand. My abs hurt, and I'm just cackling, and I couldn't like hold it together. And
there was that guy that was like, you both are going to be canceled, and you both are children or something. And we're just laughing and pissing ourselves. Like, yeah, it was.
He's like, abusive relationship with each other. Like, yeah, probably.
Oh, that's what he said. Abusive. Yeah, 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 yeah. You guys sound like an abusive married couple. I was like, shut up. And I'm not going to say his name because
We had fun.
yeah,
Um,
awful show, but you know,
okay, we shouldn't. Okay, no one's gonna watch this far, but I don't know. I enjoy those things, and it's like it's funny to see what works and doesn't work. It's like with streaming, um, and I like live entertainment. You know what? I've been talking about this in person, but it's like I I cannot stand like I went to a social Friday. Fucking someone punched the bride in the face. Like a dude punched the bride. I was like, oh, what a Winnipeg thing to see. And like a big brawl. And like I didn't know very many people, so I wasn't invested. I was just sitting there on my phone with like 10 dudes who are just beating the fuck out of each other. I don't know what to do. Like fucking
like wow, this is classy. Yeah, 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 yeah.
supposed to be a nice like formal event or whatever. And I haven't had a drop of alcohol yet this year. Smoking weed like crazy here and there, but like no alcohol. And it was weird. Like I never felt that comfortable getting really wasted in settings. And so like to me, now that I haven't touched it for almost a year, like I feel like I'm almost being judgmental because it's disgusting to get this fucked up. Like what's wrong with you people? The one thing I miss is like going to a lounge with your buddy and letting a little loose, like two or three, and
Yeah.
joking, and
Yeah.
I do
Like
the
a little
lame thing.
relaxed.
Yeah, I still feel a little bit relaxed when I have a non-alcoholic, but hey, it just ain't the same. But I think my life's a lot better without it. I feel like a fucking loser, being, oh, can I have a non-alcoholic beer, please?
Can I have a cranberry juice?
Yeah, can I have a? I'll be like the dad that's like, I'll have a non-alcoholic rum and
Yeah,
coke. Like,
yeah,
the
yeah,
waitress gives a.
yeah. Problem with alcohol there. It's like, well, no, I just don't want to drink alcohol. But yeah, I
No,
mean,
that's what I
people
don't
are
like.
getting better
It's
with it
so
though.
unacceptable. Like it's become more, but people are like, oh, what's wrong? Like, well, why don't you want to drink? And they like people. I've heard the rumor about myself that I'm an alcoholic, and like I'm not putting down anyone that is, but it's like I'm not. I'm just choosing not to fucking drink.
Yeah,
Like I don't know, like because it doesn't. I don't like hangovers. I don't like, and I'm cutting out weed because I just noticed like when I go months without smoking weed, my mind is a lot sharper. Me and you, we're gonna start playing chess more like online, and like I took Instagram right off, and like I'm kind of weird, and I like to post on Instagram, but I delete it right away off my phone because you know what? I'd rather have Duolingo or like my flashcards for my pilot exam, or I sometimes do too much at once, and I have three different meditation apps, and I think that's causing me to not do any of them because I don't know
right.
which to choose. So I'm
Right.
going to delete two, and I just think you know what, scrolling on your phone ain't that bad, but if you're scrolling, it's not bad if you're like playing chess or doing Duolingo. And there was a full month when it was December 2020. I still COVID, didn't really need my phone, put my phone away for a whole month, got a flip phone, and I sat and did Duolingo 6 hours a day, and then I played
Wow.
chess. And I just had my mind was so sharp. Even if you're not, when you're not on your phone, but you can't bring yourself to do certain things, it's like because you have no motivation to do it because you're so when you can do like my one knock about video games is they're so fun, so you're never that bored. And like your
Right.
phone it is so interesting and fun, and it's quick dopamine to be on Instagram and look at like funny memes. And so then like that's the definition of not bored, and it's like very entertaining. And so but when you don't have that, it's like you'd rather just do that instead of doing the things that are boring. Like sitting on playing Duolingo for 6 hours is boring and hard to do. But when my base level of dopamine went down so low and I didn't really do anything that fun on my phone anymore, sitting and playing chess for 4 hours straight was the funnest thing I was doing. It was what I looked forward to. That sounds fucking boring now because I'm back super addicted to my phone, and my screen time is 6 hours a day somehow. I don't know how the fuck that's possible, but it is.
Well,
And
it's an average, but yeah.
and I find like weed, it just ties, um it ties it like when I got high, I would just sit and just scroll, like not even watch a show like what stoners did back in the day. Because I don't think sitting and watching TV rots your brain as much as sitting and scrolling reels. Because you don't even remember if you watch a show, you remember what it was about.
Yeah.
You know, if when's the last time you just doom scrolled? You don't remember any of it. You don't even remember that stuff 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Flinging it.
minus like a really, really funny meme that's relatable to like an event that happened in your life, right? Or that you know somebody that.
But then you still forget it a month later, but you still
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
watching Star Wars or something, right?
yeah, yeah.
I remember watching the Star Wars trailer for Last Jedi, and like I think we were in Hooters or something, and we're like, oh, we're all fucking pumped out, and it just turned out to be a bag of shit. It's like,
Wow. Yeah, Star
yeah,
Wars. I don't even want to talk about the sequel trilogy. I'll go down a wormhole of like just oh man, the
but I
theories, the
just don't think
excitement.
women should hold lightsabers.
No, no, no. It has nothing to do with that. It's just
it,
it was all disconnected. I mean, it's all been said already. That's the
well,
thing.
it's fucking like all the other trilogies are written by this one dude with one vision, and it's like the script got changed for the second. They had like J.J. Abrams had a big plan for the three, and then they're like, "No, fuck him. The didn't do as popular. Fuck that guy." And then another guy came in and changed stuff, and then so it like the crescendo of the three films all lining
Didn't
up.
make
Yeah, it didn't like.
sense. Yeah.
It's like big company, and you made that fucking mistake. I feel like I would have not done that, but whatever.
Well, thankfully, Dave Filoni is now like the new George Lucas. He just got that like
That's the Clone Wars guy, right?
yeah, and the
That's the
Mando
best
guy.
version of Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, it's
Clone Wars.
yeah. I mean it definitely why because it appeals to both kids and adults. You know,
It's what
these
Star
characters that you know you latch onto, and then it's like, oh, this is their continued adventure.
It's
right?
a western, but in space. And the Clone
Yeah.
Wars, it's about like the smaller, like because okay, the first trilogy. Okay, so all the movies are about the big grand wizards in the universe, right? And then okay,
Mhm.
Rogue One, obviously not, but there's all these smaller characters, and like the Clone Wars was 7 seasons of getting to see the clones and their differences, and all these like, and then you got to see Anakin's apprentice, and then Anakin, you got to see more of Darth Maul, and then okay, Disney bought um Star Wars. So then the Clone Wars didn't get its final season, and then they started with Rebels, and then people demanded, and then years later they went back and did the final season. And it's like the interesting arc of like Ahsoka and Maul, where basically the same thing happened to them. They both got excommunicated from the Sith and the Jedi, and they had the same goals, but they refused to help each other. And like Maul knew all the bad stuff that was going to happen, and it's kind of weird when watching those because you know the ending already because
Yeah.
you know what happens. But it was
Yeah.
interesting to see them. Did you see this?
I haven't seen hardly any of Rebels, and I'm only about halfway through
No.
Clone Wars.
Rebels
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Rebels, like the first couple seasons, the animation sucks, and then like okay, season 7, it's like you see the last time that Anakin saw Ahsoka.
hmm
And you see more of the relationship of Obi-Wan and Anakin, and it makes the certain things in Revenge of the Sith make sense. And one thing I'll say about like the people shit on Hayden Christensen for seeming so emotionless, but it's like it's funny because the internet people dive into it, and it's like, well, no, Anakin Skywalker was supposed to be emotionless. He was raised without parents.
Yeah.
He's like Homelander. He's like this powerful Jesus-like being that had no parents, was raised in a sterile environment. And I like how other iterations, and I like how the Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars, they talked about like they made a big, it's like it was kind of like a satire of the war that was like in Iraq almost, because they were talking
Yeah.
about the robots versus the clones. And it's like, well, no one actually won that war. If anything, the Galactic Empire started because of it, and they seem to be the only ones that won, and neither side won. And it's like this war was manufactured, and like people are like, oh, it was George Lucas saying like everything that's going on in the world right now is manufactured.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Kid show, but
It's yeah, and I think that it's like that like question everything sort of like look outside the box, and I think that's what caught a lot of people and emotionally attached them to that. That's why it was so important for that
we got
new
to know the
season.
characters more. Like there's like 5 clones that kind of stick out that were closer with Anakin, and it's funny because people will watch all this stuff, or you watch Jason Bourne where you see an event happened and then the news made a fake story about it, and then the people that are into Jason Bourne, those are the people that blindly follow the news. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you have this fantasy world of the news not being real, but you believe it in this situation, but then you blindly follow what everyone says.
Yeah. It's really, there's so much to say about just, I mean, lack of a better term, sheep, right? It's just like,
But then I hate
I've,
that when people are like, these fucking sheep. It's like,
yeah, well, and it's just like, that's why, yeah, it's just like, well,
I don't think
it's
I'm morally superior, like thinking these things or pointing these things out or anything. Like, and that's the
right.
problem with like people that are like, oh, fucking sheeple, is like people think they're geniuses themselves. But it's like, you're not saying it like that either. But it's like,
No, yeah,
and it's kind of funny. I just think I'm like an average dude, average smarts. And I also, I kind of really hate people that think they're geniuses because it's
yeah.
like, all the people that I know are self-proclaimed geniuses. They're fucking idiots. Like they're the dumbest people, and like some of the most unsuccessful people I've ever met in my life. Like, oh, you're such a fucking genius, eh? But you still can't
I
figure
can't figure anything out, dear.
and hold down a job, eh?
Yeah.
But you're so yeah. I don't know, where do we leave off? So we got to do this again, and we're gonna talk more about video games. I'm sorry, Jordan. I've been having a bad streak. Like, oh, okay, some of them have been going good, some of them have been going bad. This has been going okay.
I mean, it's okay. It's a warm up. It's also you just got back from the gym. You're a little bit more tired.
A little bit
right?
fucking full of testosterone over here.
Testosterone and food.
Bench 225 8 times. Like no big deal or anything. Like
protein shakes coursing through you. Yeah. I actually, whenever I went to the gym, like I don't, maybe I need to do it more, but it's like I never really understood how people could go to the gym at like 5 o'clock in the morning and go to work for 6:30. Like I could do it after work. I could do it like at lunchtime. I could just never do it in the beginning. Like
it's just
my mind's too focused.
I've done that for a small amount of time in my life.
I just feel like I'd be too tired by like 2:30.
I've done the go for a run for a bit, like for a couple months or like once a week I'd get up and go for a run. Yeah, like I've not always, I've not consistently been that person. And it's just like morning people. I've become more of a morning person as I've gotten older. I go to bed at like 9, wake up at 5. Even if I don't set my alarm, I wake up at 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It's like internal clock.
I just get you up. Yeah.
Yeah. But, what was your other question, sorry?
Well, it wasn't really a question. It was more of like, like I feel like I need, I don't know, maybe I'm different. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe just because I haven't.
Pumps them up for the day.
Yeah, true. Right. It gets you going. And I definitely do feel pumped up, but it's like that. There's like a different level of exhaustion, right? It's like an internal exhaustion that happens.
You still work in film mostly, right?
Yeah.
When I worked in film, I didn't go to the gym a lot. I'd go on the weekends because I'm so, and like a lot of people that like, they just didn't get it. I was like the significant difference between working 10 hours or 12 hours versus 14 and 16, those extra 2 hours fucking suck. Also, like the people that go at 5 in the morning, they're very focused in those. See, my problem recently, and I don't know, like it's a bit of a social club. I go to Good Life. It's kind of like I meant to go for an hour today and I was there for 5 hours. And then I'm like, oh, I'll also do this. And then I fuck around and talk to people. Like I wasn't like 5 hours intense working out the whole time.
Yeah.
A good like hour of that spread out was like me fucking around talking to people. I'm like sitting on a machine texting, like it's not. And I'm actually like, okay, maybe I could have better, because it's like the one consistent thing in my life. Like I'm falling behind on studying certain things and I need to be more consistent with that. So I need to better schedule. And it's like, okay, I don't need to sacrifice the gym, but I can just be more focused.
Right. And get it done faster.
Yeah.
Go to the gym for only like an hour.
Do steroids and get all my goals accomplished. Trying to deadlift 600 pounds before I die. And I'm like, well, I'm at like 470. If I just fucking did some steroids
I just swallowed some pills and injected a little bit, I'd be fine.
Completely lied about it. Like, nah, liver king. Like, no, I'm not on steroids. Like, dude, you're like fucking 60 and you got an 8-pack.
Yeah, you're 60 and you look just disgusting.
Like the fucking Hulk. He's like, no, it's because I eat liver. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like how fitness influencers have become much more of a thing. And there's different, I don't know, like I don't like the manosphere stuff of like, I do like the whole breakup as motivation, but like some influencers are like, yeah, look, I just fucking I stalk my ex on social media and see her new guy and I get fucking pissed off. It's like, that's probably sir. That's very.
Go to the gym and I curl like a 90-pound dumbbell and I just,
Look at that fucking whore. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's probably unhealthy. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. So what game are you jumping onto? We should have done this live on your live stream.
Oh, we could have almost, yeah. Because
Okay.
I wanna start up one talking about like the inner workings of relationships that people are like uh afraid to ask and talk about. And I have this idea of like getting like a Google phone
Yeah.
number, and so people from all over the world can call and I can like answer them stuff.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I had an ex call me a narcissist recently, and I was like, "Baby, if you looked as good as me, you'd be a narcissist too." No, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen. None of my exes talk to me. Uh,
One of mine does, but yeah.
no, okay, I have one, but well, there's I don't know. I think there's no reason to talk to your fucking ex. Like I don't know. It's like unless you like work
Actually, what's funny is I was just having this conversation
with me.
last
You don't
night.
have other.
No. Last night with a friend, and he was saying, um, what was he saying? He was saying something along the lines of like how girls. Oh no, sorry, it was a gay friend of mine. Sorry, it was a gay friend of mine. He was saying that like with Grinder and like dating guys, if they don't like hook up and they're not a thing, they can just like let each other down easy and still be friends. And he goes, girls do that, lesbian girls do that with other lesbian girls, and it's like,
There's something in between the genders, right? Like I know
yeah, and it's like
all
you
gay
can't.
couples they just click quicker. Especially there's like it's called U-hauling with lesbians. They'll fucking move in after 10 days. Like I don't know, like okay, I know you, I could probably be your roommate, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah,
but like um with romantic partners between sexes and like honestly, I'm either really clean or I'm just fucking. You've seen me. My car is either spotless or there's like a mountain of trash in the fucking front.
yeah, yeah.
And I guess like two dudes could maybe do that or something. But
Mm-hmm.
like all the girls I've ever lived with, that was their knock against me. I'm like, I'm fucking trying. Like, especially when I was working in film, pulling those 16 hours. It's like I just
You
don't
just
have.
have no time. Yeah,
I have
and
no
you just
goddamn.
you get a coffee and you just toss it and you just go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or I found like when I worked in film, something that my snooty thing I did was I dropped my laundry off and they washed and folded it for me and then put it in like a vacuum seal bag. Cause it's like
Wow.
I just fucking and honestly, okay, so I was living at the courts of St. James. Fuck those guys. Laundry ended up being like $8 a load. So I actually found a place. I'm like, it's actually cheaper if I fucking drop it off to them. Plus they just do it and then I just pick it up. So it
Yeah,
made sense. Like it was a lot cheaper that way.
yeah, yeah.
Those assholes kicked me out because I had a cat and I rescued a cat, and everyone else in the fucking building had a cat. Goddamn maintenance manager just didn't like me. It's funny because if you look at the reviews of the courts of St. James, all of them are like, "Yeah, the maintenance guy was in my place, like sniffing my panties." It's like I caught fucking like in there. That's like illegal. They're supposed to give you like a day notice, come at a certain time. I've caught maintenance dudes like in my fucking place. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, we're
Yeah.
just checking
You got a
something.
complaint, yeah, checking something, yeah.
Like watching porn on my TV. It's
what are you what are you doing there, man?
yeah, it was. I just thought that was weird because it's like my upstairs neighbor would have parties till 4 in the fucking morning on like a Wednesday. That was okay, but I like fuck man. I paid my rent like a month in advance, or like always like a week early. Yeah, we got this cute little cuddly cat. Never heard a fly. Oh fucking!
Get
I
him
just
out of
didn't
here.
get it. They're like, what if? I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, everyone in this building has a cat. Like, not to be like, I deserve to break the rules. But I'm like, seriously, like, what the hell do you want me to do?
Yeah,
And one chick was like, just put him down. I'm like, you're fucked. Like, why would
yeah,
you? You're fucked.
yeah. That's little Oscar caused you all this grief.
No, he's the fucking best thing that's ever happened to me. No, I got to live in a better apartment, and then it's funny. I brought him everywhere with me. He's just the best. Fucking falls asleep here every night. And best thing ever. Yeah.
Wow.
Wakes me up at 4 in the morning sometimes. Gets the zoomies. Means I don't play with him enough during the day, and like he'll just be running across the.
Yeah.
Fuck. Well, I guess that's the podcast. I had a horrible date yesterday. I guess I'll tell you that after the podcast. I feel like this wasn't that structured. I'm sorry. Better than remember the podcast we did, and it was just fucking horrible. And we're just like, okay, we're not. Because the other guys bragged about themselves the whole time, and we kind of.
Well, it's weird because like you have one person that says something, and then you're like, in order to relate to them, you're like, yeah, and I did something like that too, because you want to add to the story, you want to continue it, but it just
two people. I hate group. That's where I was going with the alcohol thing earlier. It's like that's what I meant. Like I just like I'd like to be the person in charge of the crowd, like performing in front of the crowd, like doing stand up. Or I like conversations we have one on one. I like conversations I have with other people one on one. A lot of my friends, maybe that means I'm a fucking psychopath or something. I have rarely, there's been some times in my life I've had a group of friends, but it's mostly I got you as a random friend, this guy's a random friend, this guy, this guy, and then I like, hey, they all separate. You've met some of my other friends, and but like I've been in like a group chat twice in my 29 years, you know? Yeah. And I fucking, anytime I'm out, when I was at the socials, like I could be at home editing a video. I could be at home doing this. I could be at home watching something interesting to learn. I could be out working out. And it's just like, I know sometimes you need to relax, but it's like, I'd rather go watch a fucking movie alone in a theater, like relaxing, or play pool.
Enjoy something.
I'm just so over the stage of getting fucking wasted and like, I'll be into it again in a couple of years, but it's just, I was kind of judging these people as social. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how is this fun? Some of you do this every weekend? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's the biggest like thing is like, man, I did that every weekend for like a good like 2-3 years. Like that's like think about all the money you burn, but it's like it's a way to socialize. It's a way to like connect with people as well. But like in a social setting, you more or less know everybody. You know,
yeah.
Like, why are you getting that fucking bombed? Besides, like to like give money to the bride and groom, but like if you have that money, just give it to them. You know,
yeah.
Get like 3 drinks, have fun, drive safe.
Well, especially in a place like Winnipeg where we don't really have public transport here. It's just I'm so paranoid of like having a drop alcohol in me and driving. Yeah. And like you can't get around here without a car, and so like you always have to, it's always a fucking pain in the ass to go anywhere and like drink, because then it's like unless you live across from the bar. But I just don't miss alcohol that much. Like I don't know. Like it was the first month, it was like hard because okay, I met a lot of dudes after work and stuff, but then when I was known as the guy who doesn't drink, and actually like a couple of years I would have stints of not drinking, and like when I tell people, oh, I don't drink, oh, why not? Come on, buddy, have a drink.
Relax. Yeah, you'll want more once you have one. Yeah.
And I don't like how it's like, oh, it's so manly to drink. It's like, well, not really. It raises your estrogen. So also, I don't know if you knew that, but
I think that's why that's so common for you to go to the gym and get a drink, is because your T is so high. You want to raise your estrogen a little bit. It's a subconscious thing, right?
I don't know. I've never drank after work or after the gym, but what the hell else was I gonna say? Are you busy tonight?
Not really.
Well, see, okay, now everyone's gonna see our interaction. I'm like, Jordan, do you want to hang out? Like, I'm busy. I gotta do this, and maybe I'll talk to you later.
I was just gonna stream tonight. Is all I was gonna do. But then like tomorrow, I have the commercial that I'm doing tomorrow morning. Oh, that's good for you. Yeah. Super. Gotta clear the fucking van off.
That's wicked. Right. What are you in your room right now? The green screen looks so crisp.
Does it? It's just a sheet. It's with lights.
That's just not even a real one.
Yeah, it's an Elgato green screen that like folds down.
So how long have you been? Jordan, we're gonna do another one, and we're just gonna talk about your goddamn streaming. Jordan, don't. That's what I was like. So I had all these questions, and then we just started blabbing, and then it's like, yeah. So anyways, fucking the convoy.
Oh, the convoy and communism.
But Trump's policy in this year, I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? And you know what? I'd probably get laid more often, but I just need to share Donald Trump and Andrew Tate memes on Instagram. Something me is just like too late, Don Levy, all the time, and I could not fucking help it.
Hey, we all learn eventually.
Yeah.
Less Andrew Tate, but.
Anyways, well, holy shit, dude. This is the longest podcast I've ever done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I hope you had fun, Jordan.
I did. It was okay. I have to take a piss real bad though.
No, just be a Marine sniper. We got 5 more minutes. Yeah. Anyways, actually, someone just pulled on my driveway, so it's weird living in the middle of fucking nowhere. It's weird to see traffic. And
I bet that, yeah.
Yeah, and like my mom used to live in this house by herself at one point. It's like And like when I was in Montreal and I had neighbors fucking everywhere, it's like, oh, if someone broke in and tried to murder me, I just walk outside, kind of. Someone would be on the street. It's like, oh, you just fucking come and kill me, and no one would find out for like 4 days.
Yeah, silent and like, the mailman would come by and be like, "Oh, that guy's door was open. Maybe I should let the local
Mailman
police know." Oh, there you go. Yeah, so even the mailman.
Yeah, fucking probably 2 months or something.
PO box.
He just didn't show up to work. We just assumed he quit. It's just like,
yeah.
So yeah, I'll text you after. Sorry if I talked about myself too much, my friend.
Hey, it's okay. It's your podcast.
Well, fuck no, you're the goddamn guest, and you're my 11th guest, so
11, lucky number 11.
Yeah, so I want to have you on again.
Sure.
I want to talk more. We talk about your streaming.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think you should. I think you should cut all that stuff. I think it should just be like the politics stuff.
No, I don't edit. I 100,000% don't edit. So people are gonna hear you say the R word.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You don't edit this at all. Right on. Okay.
I'm very Joe Rogan-esque about it. Or no, I edited one, but it was because the person like accidentally said the street they lived on or something. So I went and did that. But I'm not going through fucking 2 hours of footage here. Come on. But yeah. Anyways, ciao. Have anything else to say? Ooh,
no.
Little Lord Sissy's you're streaming, and then
Little Lord Sissy on YouTube and Twitch, and I'll probably be on more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do co-streams? Not to like fucking
yeah. So it's what you do is you both go live, and then there's like a function where, so back in the day it was actually very similar to this like style. It was like it would be like on one screen there'd be two separate streams, and you could like double click to like zoom into the one stream. So now it's like you can like essentially tab between two, and you can also view them at the same time with all the chat in one place. It's way better now. It's way better now. Yeah.
But it would be like
on Twitch anyway. Yeah.
I just miss playing with you. Like I miss like I didn't like I got rid of my Xbox because it was at a point where I think you stopped playing for a bit and all my other friends.
I did, yeah.
And then I was just like fucking sitting there playing. This was right before COVID too that I got rid of it. And I was just sitting, and I had a lot of other shit I wanted to accomplish, but I was just sitting there playing Battlefront. Had my girlfriend in from Quebec. I was like, I gotta fucking play this game. Or no, it was The Last Jedi. Or no, whatever. No, what was that game called? The really good lightsaber one?
Oh, Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, like the first one.
Yeah.
And that game's so addicting because you have to be really fucking good at it. And it's like you actually have to train a bit. Like to be able to do the missions, you have to go into the off-world and like fucking train to get the combos and no enemy could be killed the same way, even like the shitty little guys. And it wasn't like God of War where you could just fucking spam X or
spam shit. Yeah.
You had to like really think everything you did. And I beat it in like 2 days, but that was because I think I'm very compulsive. I'm like, if I just beat it, then I won't be addicted to it anymore. Like I beat
I'll get it out of my system. Yeah.
Oscar's tapping the keyboard now. Here, we'll say hi. Do you remember this guy?
Hey. Oscar.
Hey, do you remember him? Remember that guy? Hey, remember that? So yeah, I guess ciao for now, and we'll probably phone and have another hour conversation.
It happens.
Little less.
Oh no, we should play chess. We should play a game of chess.
Yeah, we should. We should live stream
while you render this.
And it's like talk politics the whole time.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. See, it's like we're two guys here. I don't want to feel. I think everyone should talk politics, and like that's that perspective. And it's like I don't think we're sitting here thinking we're fucking geniuses. I'm always afraid to give off that vibe. Like I'm fucking genius, and this is what. I think our motive was like, hey, like what is this? I'm like, I feel like this is,
right.
And like I hate when people are like this is how it should be. Fucking no one knows any. Like I went on my first year of university, I got very annoyed about like the 19-year-olds that were like, the most outrageous thing I ever heard in a university class was like the RA was like, and you have to understand, not everyone's educated like us university students. I'm like, we're fucking 18. We have like no life experience. The redneck who owns a construction company knows a lot more about life than anyone else in this fucking room. And when I said that, everyone looked at me like I was a fucking asshole. I'm like, we're not better than everyone because our parents are rich and they paid for us to go here. And some people don't just go because their parents are rich. But I'm like, just because we read fucking books and repeat what's in these books doesn't mean we're smarter than people.
Yeah. That's something that's really like such an adjustment. Like if you didn't go to college right away like me, And then you go to college, you're like, wow, I'm just like literally reading this and saying exactly what that just said in a different way. And it's just like, well, I don't want to do
What'd you
this.
think
Like
about?
I was taking film. I was taking film stuff, but it was like opinions based on movies that I didn't agree with. I
Yeah.
went to the Asper.
You know what's funny? So many people like ask, like, "Oh, did you have to get a like the only like if you were like a director or cinematographer, but like taking a cinematography course, you know,
Mhm.
there's like a thing out in Thunder Bay, like a lot. Actually, all the people I know from that, they seem to have a little bit of edge in their career. Um, and like we know these people that like went to that place in Thunder Bay, and like to know more of the theory in that behind, but like to be like a grip, you don't know. And I was like, it was funny because I had people in Toronto, people that had film degrees, getting me coffee and stuff. But uh,
Yeah, well, and that was something that like I took a lot of pride in because I never finished, right? It was like I dropped out. It was like, like I learned all my film stuff and I don't mean to sound arrogant or like Tarantino-esque, but it's like I watched movies. I watched a fuck ton of movies. And not only did I watch movies, I watched all the behind the scenes stuff.
yeah,
And I learned as
because you
much
like
as I could because
and
I
I'm not
liked it.
like I
Yeah.
don't know, like I found like the talking well, like when you get to the level of being like first AD, director, cinematographer, and like the key grip and gaffer or like camera operator, like to that level, like okay, less key grip and gaffer, but like that's more the technical and like the art of it's funny because in Montreal, like grips were a lot more involved in the discussion of lighting. That's what I liked versus here in Winnipeg. But like the theory of film and film theory, it doesn't like matter to most people. It's more the people in the creative, like the production designer and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And all those, like I know, okay, and there's a cinematographer in Winnipeg, and he started as a camera trainee, and he went up through every position. And like it's kind of designed to be able to be like that.
Mm.
And I'll never knock education, but like when my first year, it's like so many people who took University One or they took general courses for like 5 years. It's because their whole life, how well they were doing in life was their grades. So they lived that. And it's like that saying, that meme I saw forever. It's like when you're 17, you have to ask to go to the washroom, but when you're 18, you have to make important life decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to choose your degree, choose what you want, choose this. I meant to take, like, I had a friend die the year I graduated, and I was supposed to go to school right away. And I was like, when you're 18, you lose a friend, it fucks you up. Like I kind of just never went back. I started working in film. I got that commercial, and then I pursued acting, and then I slowly started working crew, and then next thing you know, I met a girl, and now I'm in Montreal, and we didn't work out, and now I'm in Toronto, and fuck, I came crawling back to Winnipeg because I wanted to switch careers, and um, but it was a hell of a ride. I don't, yeah, I like I met some of the best and worst people in that
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
Um,
I can think of a couple that I never want to speak to again.
like
And then
this
a couple
fucking
that I
garden
would
butter all
like,
guy, I could not stand his fucking face.
get him out of here.
It's funny. No, it's just funny because like we knew each other in middle school. I went to your middle school for 1 year. Winnipeg's so small. If you have the slightest interest,
In the same sort of thing, yeah.
yeah, we fucking met like 10 different ways. Even if we never met once, we would have met another 10 times. I don't know where the hell I was going. So yeah, I get so rambly and like. So, anyways, Donald Trump just wants to make America great.
Just make America great again.
We've been saying bye for like half an hour. Yeah, I don't know. Like I kind of like if I yeah, oh yeah, no, like, and people with the general studies, and like they just thought they're fucking goddamn better than everyone. And it was like basically my vibe at U of M was like, what I felt was like some people were just there because they didn't know what to do, and their parents were going to pay, so they were there. And it's like, oh, it's like high school, but you can drink on campus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of resented education for like a good 4 years. I'm like, I'm fucking better than these people. But like, no, there's nothing wrong with going and getting an engineering degree or getting some sort of, I've been to college since. So
yeah.
Anyways, Jordan, I should get going. So this fucking car has been sitting in my driveway staring at me for like since I said it. So just like this is the last time you ever see me.
Yeah. So I did a podcast with him, and now he's dead. So
you like interviews. Your channel blows up. I'm like, ah. Okay, see you, dude.
All right.